The Beast Hunt, a Ravenglass Legends prequel, by Cronshaw. Bereft of proper instruction in letters or virtue, they learn instead to stalk the forest's shadowed depths with naught but crude spears and the rudiments of cunning imparted by their sires. It is a spectacle most pitiable. These young savages, with eyes alight with the thrill of the hunt, chase their prey as their ancestors did millennia afore, unguided by the progress that enlightens more favoured realms. From a discourse on unenlightened lands and primitive races, by Lord Gelfrat. Ragnar's breath misted in the chill mountain air as he and Kest fell into step with the hunting party. The village had been abuzz with talk of the beast for weeks, each whispered tale more terrifying than the last. Some spoke of a creature as large as a bear, with fangs like daggers and eyes that glowed in the darkness. Others claimed it was a direwolf, one of the legendary beasts said to haunt the high peaks. But Ragnar knew better than to put stock in such tales. Wolves were fierce, yes, but they were flesh and blood, not the stuff of nightmares. And he had faced down his fair share of predators in his young life, both on 4 legs and 2. Beside him, Kest shifted his pack, the weight of supplies and weapons pulling at his broad shoulders. "You think this beast is as big as they say?" Ragnar shrugged, his eyes scanning the rugged terrain ahead. "Big enough to take down a full-grown ox." Kest let out a low whistle. "That's no ordinary wolf." "No, it's not." Ragnar's grip tightened on his spear. "But it bleeds like any other creature, and anything that bleeds can be killed." Kest grinned. "Listen to you sounding all wise and experienced. You've been spending too much time with Ulfred." Ragnar rolled his eyes. "Mock all you want, but you know I'm right. This beast is just another way to prove our worth as warriors. And another chance for you to show off your tracking skills, no doubt." "I don't need to show off." Ragnar lifted his chin. "My skills speak for themselves." Kest snorted. "Right. Just like that time you tracked that deer for half a day, only to realize you were following your own footprints in a circle. So that was one time, and I was still learning." "Oh, I'm sure the deer was very impressed with your learning." Ragnar opened his mouth to retort, but a sharp whistle from the head of the group cut him off. His uncle Olaf, leader of the hunting party, stood atop a rocky outcropping, his furs whipping in the wind. "Enough chatter. We've got a long climb ahead of us, and I don't want any wasted breath." Ragnar and Kest exchanged a glance and hurried to catch up with the others. As they climbed, the air grew thinner and colder, the wind biting at their exposed skin. The trees thinned out, giving way to scrubby brush and jagged rocks. Ragnar's legs burned with the effort, but he pushed on, determined to keep pace with the seasoned warriors. Olaf led the way, his eyes constantly scanning the surrounding peaks. "I've hunted these mountains for more years than most of you have been alive. The key is teamwork and strategy. We work together, we stay focused, and we don't let the beast lure us into a trap." "A trap?" Kest frowned. "You think it's that smart?" Olaf fixed him with a piercing stare. "Never underestimate your prey, boy. This beast is cunning, and it's been evading us for weeks. It knows these mountains better than we do, and it will use that to its advantage." Ragnar nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. He had studied tracking and hunting with Ulfred, the village sage, and he knew that every creature, no matter how fierce, had its weaknesses. As they climbed higher, the trail began to narrow, winding along the edge of a steep ravine. Ragnar kept his eyes on his footing, the loose rocks and gravel threatening to send him tumbling with each step. Olaf held up a hand, bringing the group to a halt. He crouched down, examining something on the ground. Ragnar edged closer, peering over the older warrior's shoulder. A paw print, larger than any he had ever seen, revealed itself in the soft ground. It was deep and clear, the claws leaving sharp indentations in the earth. "What is it, uncle?" "Looks like a direwolf." A ripple of unease passed through the group, and Ragnar felt his heart beat faster. Direwolves were the stuff of legend, great beasts that roamed the high peaks and preyed on anything that crossed their path. They were said to be as intelligent as they were fierce, with a cunning that rivaled even the most seasoned hunter. "Are you sure?" Kest asked. Olaf nodded. "And this looks fresh. This one is close." Ragnar swallowed hard, his mouth suddenly dry. He had always dreamed of facing a direwolf, of proving his skill and bravery against the ultimate predator. But now, with the reality of the hunt before him, a flicker of doubt struck him. Olaf turned to him, his gaze intense. "I need you to take the lead, to follow this trail and find where the beast is hiding." Ragnar nodded, meeting his uncle's gaze. "I won't let you down, sir." Olaf clapped him on the shoulder. "Just remember, this is not a solo hunt. We work together, we watch each other's backs. Understood?" "Understood." Ragnar stepped forward, his eyes focused on the trail ahead. He scanned the ground, noting every broken twig, every scuff in the dirt. As they climbed higher, Ragnar pulled his furs tighter around him, his cheeks stinging from the cold. Beside him, Kest let out a low curse. "Remind me again why we're doing this." Ragnar shot him a grin, trying to ignore the unease that gnawed at his gut. "For glory and honor, of course, and to protect our people." Right, glory and honor." Kest shook his head. "I'd settle for a hot meal and a warm bed." "Where's your sense of adventure, Kest?" "I must have left it back in Meerand, where it's safe and warm. I can go back and get it if you want." Ragnar couldn't help but chuckle. As they rounded a bend in the trail, the party staggered to a halt. The remains of the direwolf's kill lay scattered across the rocky ground, the bones of some unfortunate creature picked clean. Olaf crouched down, examining the scene with a critical eye. "This is fresh. The beast is close." Ragnar scanned the surrounding peaks, his hand tightening on his spear. The direwolf could be watching them even now, its eyes glinting in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. But he wouldn't let fear control him. He was a warrior of Meerand, a son of the Wolfsbane clan. He would face this beast with courage and cunning, and he would emerge victorious. Beside him, Kest let out a shaky breath. "At least we know we're on the right track." Ragnar nodded, and continued the trek up the mountain. His breath came in sharp, shallow gasps, his lungs straining with the effort of the climb. But he pushed on, his eyes fixed on the tracks that wound through the rocky terrain. Kest kept pace, his bow at the ready. A cry rang out, echoing off the mountainside. Ragnar exchanged a glance with Kest, and without a word they broke into a run, scrambling over the rocks and boulders that littered their path. As Ragnar crested a rise, he saw it. The beast, a massive creature with tawny fur and gleaming eyes, locked in combat with one of the seasoned warriors. The man was on the ground, his spear broken, his shield shattered. The beast loomed over him, its fangs bared in a snarl. By creation. Kest's bow trembled in his grip. That's no direwolf. The creature was a mountain lion, but larger than any Ragnar had ever seen. Its muscles rippled beneath its fur, its claws gouging deep furrows in the rocky ground. Without hesitation, Ragnar leapt forward, his spear held high. He let out a wordless cry, a challenge, and a warning all in one. The beast whirled to face him. It let out a roar, a sound that tore into Ragnar's ears. But he didn't falter, he couldn't. The fallen warrior's life hung in the balance, and he would not let his brother-in-arms die alone. Kest was at his side, his bow drawn taut. He loosed an arrow, the shaft whistling through the air to bury itself in the beast's flank. The mountain lion let out a snarl, its attention divided. It lunged forward, its claws slashing at the air. Ragnar dodged to the side, his spear scoring a glancing blow along the beast's ribs. But the creature was too fast, too agile. It twisted away, its tail lashing the air. The fallen warrior let out a pained moan. Ragnar risked a glance in his direction. The man's wounds were grave, his blood staining the ground. "We have to get him out of here." Kest nodded grimly. "I'll hold it off. You get him to safety." Ragnar hesitated for a moment, torn between his duty to his friend and his duty to the fallen warrior. But he couldn't leave a man to die, not while there was still breath in his body. With a desperate thrust of his spear, Ragnar drove the beast back, giving himself a moment's respite. Then he turned and ran to the fallen warrior's side, his hands already reaching for the man's battered form. Kest shouted something. A bowstring twanged and the beast growled. But Ragnar didn't look back. He couldn't. He slung the warrior over his shoulders, his muscles screaming with the effort. The man was heavy, his heavy furs weighing him down. But Ragnar gritted his teeth and pushed on, his legs pumping as he half ran, half stumbled down the mountainside. Behind him the beast roared. Steel clashed with fangs and claws. His heart twisted with fear for Kest, for the rest of the hunting party. But he couldn't turn back. Not now. He staggered into the camp, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The other warriors surged forward, their faces grim. Olaf's nostrils flared. What happened? Ragnar shook his head. The beast, not a direwolf, mountain lion, bigger than anything I've ever seen. Olaf's face hardened, his jaw clenching tight. Where's Kest? He stayed behind to hold it off. I had to get him out. He gestured to the fallen warrior, who lay motionless on the ground. Olaf knelt beside the man, his hands already reaching for his wounds. You did well, but we have to get him back to the village. He needs a healer's touch. Ragnar nodded. He knew what that meant. Olaf rose to his feet, his face set with grim determination. Ragnar, you and Kest will have to lead the rest of the hunt. Track the beast to its lair, find a way to lure it out and kill it. The rest of us will get this man back to the village. We'll find it and we'll end it. Kest appeared at the edge of the camp, his face streaked with dirt and sweat. He had a gash on his arm, but it didn't seem to slow him down as he jogged towards Ragnar and Olaf. The beast fled, ran off into the mountains, but it's wounded, and it left a trail of blood. We'll follow the trail, Ragnar said. We'll find its lair and smoke it out. It can't hide forever. Kest nodded. And when it comes out, we'll be ready. They set out at once, leaving the rest of the hunting party to tend to the wounded man and make their way back to Meerand. Ragnar moved in silence, his senses attuned to every sound and shadow. As they climbed higher, the trail began to narrow, the blood splatters growing fainter and more spread out. It's clever, trying to throw us off the scent. But it can't hide its lair, Rag. He gestured to a dark opening in the side of the mountain, a cave that seemed to swallow the light. The blood trail led straight to its mouth, a crimson path that vanished into shadow. Ragnar turned to Kest. We need to lure it out. Draw it into the open where we can surround it and take it down. I'll climb the ridge, get a clear shot. You stay here, make noise, draw its attention. Ragnar grinned. I'll be the bait, and you'll be the trap. Kest clasped his arm. Just don't get eaten. I don't want to have to explain that to your father. Ragnar laughed. I'll do my best. Kest scaled the ridge with a sure-footed grace as Ragnar strode towards the cave. He took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. And then he let out a shout, a wordless cry of challenge and defiance. For a moment there was only silence. And then, from the depths of the cave, came a snarl. The beast emerged. It was wounded, its flank matted with blood. Ragnar held his ground, his spear levelled at the creature's chest. Kest released his arrow. The beast twisted away, the arrow grazing its shoulder. And then it charged. And then it charged, a blur of fur and fang and fury. Ragnar met it head-on, his spear scoring a deep gash along its side. But the beast didn't falter, didn't slow. It slammed into him, its weight bearing him to the ground. Kest shouted something. Footsteps pounded the rocky ground, but he couldn't focus on that, couldn't think of anything but the beast's hot, fetid breath, the glint of its fangs in the sunlight. He rolled to the side, his spear forgotten. His hands scrabbled for purchase, seeking a weapon, a tool, anything to fend off the attack. And then he saw it. A jagged stone the size of a dagger, its edges sharp and lethal. He snatched it up, his fingers closing around its rough surface. The beast lunged again, its claws raking across his chest. But Ragnar didn't feel the pain, didn't feel the hot rush of blood. All he felt was a surge of strength, a wild primal fury. With a roar, he brought the stone down on the beast's skull again and again. Bone cracked and split beneath his hands. The beast shuddered and convulsed, and then it was still, its eyes glazing over, its final breath rattling in its throat. Ragnar staggered to his feet, his chest heaving, his body shaking with exhaustion and relief. He looked down at the beast, at the creature that had terrorized Meerand. Kest was there, his face pale and drawn. You did it. You actually killed it. Ragnar nodded, a slow, weary smile spreading across his face. No. We did it, Kest. Together. The end. Thanks for listening. This story is a prequel to John Cronshaw's Ravenglass Legends series. Hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you enjoyed about the story. To get your free Ravenglass Universe starter library, visit johncronshaw.com/newsletter to claim your free ebooks today. This story is copyright 2024 by John Cronshaw, all rights reserved. This is a work of fiction. Any similarities between characters and real people, living or dead,